U.S. going out in the group stage at the Copa America. Guess who else did? A former giant of CONCACAF in Mexico. That's right, eliminated from the Copa America group stage for just the third time in 11 appearances. How about this number? Mexico converting just 1.8% of shots. That's the worst conversion rate at the last 5 Copa Americas amongst teams with at least 1 goal. What does it all mean for the manager, Jimmy Lozano? All right, so no changes to the coaching staff, but potential reinforcements to the coaching staff, whatever that means. Are we giving the FMF president here, Herc, a get lost?
Get lost. I'll tell you what that means. So the assistant coach for the Mexican national team, his name's Ryota Nishimura. He's actually a foreign exchange student that Jimmy Lozano met in this coaching program. They became friends, struck up a friendship, and he's had him with him every step of the way. But he's never been involved in the sport. He's never coached a team. He has just as limited experience as Jimmy Lozano, which is Querétaro 1 season, Necaxa another season, didn't go well, and the youth team that was the Olympic team that won the bronze medal. So a lot of pundits see Jimmy Lozano in a time of crisis look over to the bench and talk to Ryota Nishimura, and they say that man is not qualified enough to be with Jimmy Lozano, to guide Jimmy Lozano, to help Jimmy Lozano. So now they're going to impose a coach onto his staff, which is pretty much a babysitter. And if I'm Jimmy Lozano, I'm going crazy over this. There's no way you're going to impose anybody on my watch, my time. Just let me go if that's the case. And also, where do we go about the empowerment of their players? Like, that's what they did, is they gave young players a chance in this tournament. I'm looking at this roster, Mexican national team roster, and what young players? Did Marcelo Flores, who's 19, play a single minute? Did Brian Garcia play any? Rangel, did he play any? Alvarado, who's mid-aged, you know, 25, 26. Yeah, but very good player that played very well at Chivas, played 12 minutes. You go down the list of players that could have been a generational change. Very few players, because they lied to us about that generational change, and are trying to tell us they empowered those players. Give me a break.
I'll give you, though. Where's a manager going to magically come up with better players?
Yeah.
So I don't think they're firing Jimmy Lozano, because who are you going to get that's going to be any better? Not manager-wise, but what manager? Are you going to come in and what? Be able to pull players out of some other
isn't the argument that a team that has less talent needs a better manager more?
Well,
I mean, that's.
I agree, and I know where you're going with this.
I
know where you're going with this.
You don't have great tools. I need a great, teacher. He's got to get. There's got to be somebody who can get the most out of this group. It's clearly not Jimmy Lozano.
I agree with what you're saying, and here's what the fallback for Mexican fans case. I'll tell you really quick. It's Guillermo Almada, the head coach at Pachuca.
Who just won, of course, CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Who just won a CONCACAF Champions Cup, who won a league with Pachuca, who's very much experienced in dealing with young players and giving those players experience. How long do you have with the national team every time you come into a camp?
Sometimes 3-4 days.
And that's the issue with a coach like that. When you're a club coach, you have every single day for a season to work a system. And I agree with you. If you don't have the players, you better have a system. And who does the system? The coach. That empowers the players. I don't know it's enough time every few months for 3 days to work on said system. Mexico used to do these
These funny camps,
These little funny camps.
They would pull guys out of the league, and if they were in trouble in qualifying or something, and give them this mini camp out of nowhere.
I don't know if they'll do that again, but unless you're going to do that, a Guillermo Almada is not the answer. This is a mess, because unlike, and I use the U.S. men's national team, what gets fans really upset on the side of the U.S. men's national team is they do believe a better coach will do better things with this player pool, because they believe in the player pool. That's the thing that gets them most excited.
Right.
I don't think Mexican fans believe in this player pool.
Yeah, they don't believe in the player pool. No.
I think what's frustrating if you're a Mexico fan is you look back at the history of the national team, and one of your great complaints was, to what we were talking about earlier, they're too knee-jerk, right? On that side of the border, they're too knee-jerk, and suddenly there seems to have been this shift almost to the other side. We can even go back to the Tata Martino cycle. There was so much negativity. There was so much doubt. There was so much questioning of him as a manager, and yet FMF suddenly found their loyalty and stuck with him.
I think Herc made the point in reverse. The knee-jerk was because the fans believed in the players, and it was the manager that wasn't getting the most out of the players. I think now the Federation
the Federation has found patience on 2 bad choices.
You know why I think they found patience? Because this is now the second bad choice and you don't get a third time.
Well,
so
right.
it's,
now
so it's
the
them.
board gets
now it's on
removed.
them.
Yep.
But to your point,
Well, the consequence for not getting a third time is having a disastrous Copa America, which is effectively a home tournament.
second straight tournament you get grouped.
And potentially a disaster in 2026, a
major
World Cup, which
World
is
Cup.
not effectively, is actually a home tournament.
Right.
I mean, isn't that worth more than whatever's now?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But that would mean they're gone. And if it's them or you, it's not going to be them. And that's the reality in Mexican football. Listen, when's the last time it was positive vibes around the Mexican national team and the coach?
2019.
No. When they won the Gold Cup with Tata Martino?
Fall
Before?
2019,
Okay.
when they beat the U.S. in New Jersey 3-0.
Let me
the U.S.
hold
in the
on.
Gold
Let
Cup
me
1-0.
rephrase that. When was the last cycle it was positive vibes?
Yeah, the 2018 World Cup.
Not
cycle.
even then, because they had the,
Yeah,
they had the 7-0 versus Chile, and they wanted to get rid of Juan Carlos Osorio.
Very
We had him on this
solid
very
qualifying cycle. Beat Germany in the first game of
Stop,
the
they
World
were ready
Cup.
to get rid of him after one game, and it was his first loss. He was here, and he told us.
Yeah, that was the knee-jerk we were talking about, that maybe they're then...
Just ask me when the last time a Mexico fan felt good. I mean,
You felt good about that 7-0?
No, but that was in 2016.
No, I'm talking about the cycle. I'm talking about the cycle. Okay, that's fine. Well, I just think when we talk about Mexico, you have to put in with the grain of salt that it's never a positive vibe, and these things will always come. It comes with the territory. I agree with what you're saying. I do. There's a case to be made about patience and seeing a project through. But do you want to see through a project that you don't believe in?
Is Mexico still the second best team in CONCACAF even? Or have they been overtaken?
No, I think they are. And I think they've proven that. But it's getting close.
With Canada?
I think with Canada's pushing that with what they need to do is they need to back up what they did in qualifying. And then we saw a little bit of a slip. And then now with Jesse coming in, we'll see if he can get them back up to that. It'll be interesting to see if we know Panama was missing a bunch of players throughout this tournament and
Still
found a way to get through.
Yep.
We knew this was a very young Costa Rica side. To your point, what you said about Mexico. Hey, we're going to look and see if these young players, oh yeah, we didn't play any, but Costa Rica did. And Costa Rica, although maybe they weren't what they were 5-6 years ago, but maybe this is a wave of some players coming forward.
Today, who's 19 years old, started and scored a goal. The plan is, hey, you're not going to develop well in Costa Rica. You've got to go elsewhere. He's in Belgium. Now he comes and plays this major tournament, scores a goal versus Paraguay. That's empowering players. When you give them an opportunity to perform on the field, regardless of their age, that is empowering players.
But they still have to do it, and he did. And that's a great...
But the only way to do it is...
Well, you got to give him the chance first.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, I don't know. And trust me, Mexico historically, the biggest team in the region. Mexico, I think, has one of the best fan bases in the world. They're just blindly loyal, will always support their team. But if you were to say Mexico plays Canada, 10 times, would they win over half? I don't think so. Would they win over half of the U.S. men's national team? They've not since 2019. So I don't know. While they may get better results against other teams, I think out of these three
I still
teams,
think it's what we talked about the other day. I don't see anything dynamic in this player pool. I see against okay teams, they're a collective group of good players, but nothing that scares you.
And I think the best evidence of that in this tournament is one of their players who we thought was their best player was Santiago Giménez and his performance. I mean, he looked like just a guy the whole tournament.
Yeah, and I'm trying to go back in the memory bank here and think of how many opportunities he had on goal, and I can only think of the Venezuela game where he scuffed that ball, and that's it. But he started all 3 games, so why is your leading goal scorer relying on that one opportunity? Or the opportunity in the last game versus Ecuador where Julián Quiñones gets in his way and he heads the ball out of bounds. Like, that's the only opportunity you have. And listen, the best teams in the world, best teams in this tournament, Darwin Núñez doesn't need just one opportunity. He needs multiple opportunities. Santi Giménez shouldn't be immune to the criticism, but we should also understand that he's not getting the same looks as he does at Feyenoord or in the Eredivisie, and that could be more of a team problem than a Santi problem. Surely Santi Giménez is one of those players that lost his stock this tournament.
He was looking to break out, and to Herc's point, it kind of went the other direction.
Especially, as we've mentioned plenty of times on this show, with the potential of a big move coming up this summer.